Welcome back to the High Value Man Conversation. This is episode 17, and this is the formula for the perfect apology. All right, if I've got any lady listeners, this is going to be an episode you're going to want to pay attention to. You're going to want to share with your high value men in the making and any Pams that you know. And for all you guys out there, this is one you're going to probably want to have quickly bookmarked and saved, because if you're anything like me on your path to becoming a high value man, you are constantly running against that Pam problem, that passive aggressive man that likes to think that he's got it all figured out, that maybe doesn't ever want to take responsibility for something and absolutely hates when he's called out for his passive aggressive behaviors. And so maybe you're going to need to have and take the time to take responsibility and apologize because you hurt someone's feelings, you've said something you shouldn't, you've done something fucking stupid, and you need to start righting the wrongs. And so there's a formula for a perfect apology. Yes, there is a formula for a perfect apology. All you Pams out there, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. It's not good enough. No, it's not fucking good enough. It's not good enough. A perfect apology has got an element to it that is so crucial to not making the same mistake again. And it's the element of action. Can you believe it? This passive aggressive man hates taking action because he's passive with his hopes. He's passive with his dreams, passive with his desires, passive with women, friend zone, constantly creating more problems, passive with work, never asking for the promotion or the things that he wants, and passive in the world of men. He's just a passive man. So of course, the answer is action. To become a high value man, you have to take massive, consistent, assertive, sometimes aggressive action. And the rules apply in an apology, because we're going to fuck up, guys. We're going to make some terrible choices, especially on our path to becoming better man. Because here's the truth. It's only in hindsight that things are super clear, right? It's when we look back in the rear view mirror and we realize that, oh my God, I was reflecting on all of this. And that's the reason why I've been projecting all of my insecurities, fears, and problems on the world. There is a formula for apologizing because we're gonna fuck up. We are by nature flawed human beings. We are ego driven. We are selfish. We make decisions that are in our best interest at the time based on our current emotional ability and maturity. And so knowing that, we're going to have to apologize. We're going to have to get used to apologizing and used to taking the action necessary to evolve and grow through. And in order to do that, we have to follow a formula for an ultimate apology. Otherwise, we are just being passive in yet another approach to how we get to level up as men. So I'm going to share with you guys these 5 steps. These 5 steps for the perfect apology. Step number 1 is to take ownership for what you did. An apology does not start with, well, I did this because it's you that caused this. Because of you, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to maintain emotional discipline no matter what. No matter what your woman, what your wife, what the work does, what your employer, your team members, your community, your kids do. It is your responsibility as a high value man to take those hits on the chin, put a smile on your face, and realize that that is the responsibility of a masculine man to just stay emotionally grounded. And so you take responsibility for what you did. No matter what you did, you take responsibility. And responsibility looks like this. I did this. I take ownership for this. I realize me doing this caused this effect. I am responsible for this. I made a decision. I reacted rather than responding. I am responsible for this outcome. That's what it means to take ownership for what you did. And step number 2, because we got to beat it into our thick skulls, is take responsibility. Ownership is saying, I did it. Responsibility is saying, it's my fault and I get to fix it. So number 1 and number 2, take ownership is number 1. Number 2 is take responsibility. Now, once you've got that foundation, you're going to immediately see their guards drop, because more than likely you've been approaching apologies like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And you're looking away. You're not actually presenting a full frame, looking and making eye contact and building rapport with a person who you hurt or whose feelings that you caused to go into a disarray because of your victim puke. You take responsibility by facing them, being in a state where they can receive it, and you take responsibility and ownership first. I take ownership. Here's what I did wrong. I did this wrong. I fucked up. I was late. I didn't follow through on my promises. And I take ownership for it, and I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible. You're not responsible. And I'm sorry for however I showed up. I'm sorry for reacting the way that I did. It's not who I want to be, but I need to take ownership and responsibility first. Number 3 is you acknowledge their feelings. I understand why what I did would have made you feel a certain way. I understand that when I was late, I didn't call, I didn't follow through, I didn't do what I said I was going to do consistently, I've broken your promise. I understand why you'd not trust me. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that you would have feelings of distrust towards me. It makes a lot of sense that you don't respect me. It makes a lot of sense that you said, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. It makes a lot of sense that you feel that anger, that frustration, that irritation, that rage, all of it makes a lot of sense because, again, it's my fault and I take responsibility for my actions. I'm sorry. Number 3 is acknowledging their feelings. That means you're putting yourself in their shoes. This is not about you did this, well, I did this because you did this, and you get into this tit for tat. No, it means you're listening. You're saying, I hear you. And no matter how much you get triggered and how much the feelings come up and how much you want to defend yourself, you're not defending yourself if you're fighting for feelings and fighting for things you don't want to keep. A great quote someone shared with me is, we fight for things we want to keep. And so if you're fighting to be right, you're fighting to be in a relationship with a loser. Because if you're right and they're wrong, the person that is losing is a loser. If you're right and they're wrong, that person is a loser. That means you're in a relationship with a loser. And if you are apologizing to your woman or to your wife, are you the type of man that dates a loser? Take responsibility, my friend. Take ownership for what you did. Take responsibility and acknowledge their feelings with empathy. And number 4 is the apology with sincerity. A sincere apology begins with ownership, responsibility, acknowledging their feelings, and then apologizing and asking for their forgiveness. But there's still a 5th step that I haven't touched on quite yet, but I want to go through these again, and I really want you to listen to this, my friend, is we're going to fuck up. We're going to make problems. We only really ever learn when we look in the rear view mirror and we see how our pain caused an outcome. We have to be able to reflect on all of our problems, reflect on our pain, so we don't project them into the future. If we don't reflect, we will project more problems into the future. So we have to reflect on the things that we've done wrong and take ownership, take responsibility, acknowledge the hurt that we've created in those people around us. Truly, sincerely apologize and ask for their forgiveness. And most importantly, number five is to take action on a new step. So for example, let's say that I've been a negative Nancy the last few weeks, and I've been crabby and critical. I've been judgmental. I've been just a pain in the ass to be around. And I realize I've been taking a lot of this out of my relationship. And so I say, you know what? I apologize because I need to own my side of the street. I haven't been in the best mood. I've been under a lot of stress. I've been suffering in silence, and I realize I've been taking it out on you. And I'm very sorry. That's not how I want to show up in the world. I'm responsible for everything. I'm responsible for my feelings. Most importantly, I'm responsible for how I show up, no matter if things are going well or if they're going bad, and it's an area that I get to work on. And I want to acknowledge you for your feelings. You have every right to be distant from me. You have every right to be pissed off or angry or to be short. And I have absolutely no right to expect you to show up differently because it's my fault that you're responding this way. I sincerely apologize. I really hope you'll forgive me. And what I want to do differently in the future so this doesn't happen is I want to invest time in my personal development by going to therapy and to work through this issue. I need to have a close group of guys or friends that I can lean into so I don't feel like I'm suffering in silence. I'm going to do this every single Monday at 3 o'clock until I work through this problem. I want you to know that I'm committed to you. I'm committed to this relationship, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, and I hope you'll forgive me for how I've been showing up. That, my friend, is a real apology because you're taking action and you're going to go do the thing that you said you're going to do. Because at the end of the day, if you're constantly apologizing, you're in the doghouse, you're fucking things up, you're not growing as a high-value man. You're a PAM. You're a passive-aggressive man. You're passive with the area that you most need to work on. Maybe you've broken through some of the passivity issues and you're crushing it in business, but your relationships are suffering. and you're in this constant loop of apologizing for not being present with your kids, your wife. Maybe you are crushing it in fitness, but you are a complete asshole because you're neglecting other areas of your business or your life. You need to take ownership, take responsibility, acknowledge the feelings of those around you, sincerely apologize, and take action towards a better life. It's the only way we break through our passivity is by taking action. The 5-step formula for a perfect apology begins with taking ownership for what you did. Taking responsibility. Ownership is, I did this. It's my fault. Responsibility is, I'm responsible, not you. I take the burden off you, and even though I pointed the fingers at you and I've been trying to deflect, I actually reflected, and to prevent future projections and victim pukes on the relationship, it's all on me. I acknowledge your feelings. I acknowledge your feelings, your hurts, your pain, and I realize that I created it because of my poor behavior, and I don't want to show up that way, and I hope you'll accept my apology and allow me to earn back your trust. And this is the action that I'm going to take to make sure this never happens again, because I know deep down in my heart, I am a great high value man. I'm not a Pam. I want to become a better version of myself for not only you, for the community, for the world, but really because it is my responsibility as a son of God to truly live my best life. That, my friends, is the formula for a perfect apology. 5 steps. 5 things you get to do as a high value man. Guys, if you found this episode helpful, found this episode useful, do me a big favor. I would love it if you left me a review. Leave me a 5-star review, maybe leave me a comment. It really helps this reach other listeners. And if you're watching this on the YouTube, do me a favor and like it, share it, subscribe to the channel so you can get updates whenever I post new content. And if you know a high value man, or maybe you know a Pam that owes you an apology, share this episode with them so that we can get more men to start leveling up with their emotional capacity so the world is a little bit better than it is. We as men need to take massive assertive action to becoming better versions of ourselves. Much love, many blessings. I'll talk to you soon. Boom.